my videos. This one is to help you out with dividing mixed numbers. You should be able to divide mixed numbers successfully if you can convert all numbers into fractions, then write an equivalent multiplication problem and multiply. We call this multiplying by the reciprocal, and then reduce and simplify your answer. A lot of time on on this one. It will take the unsimplified answer, but it's always good practice to simplify it, especially on the next one that we're going to be doing. You have to simplify it. It does want it simplified. So again, these are the steps we'll be doing: converting all numbers into fractions, write an equivalent multiplication problem and multiplying. Again, we call that multiplying by the reciprocal, and reducing and simplifying. Okay, let's look at these. So here's our first problem here. Write the quotient in lowest terms. The quotient is just the answer to the division problem. So the first thing we want to do is, again, we're going to change everything to a fraction. So again, we talked about this before. We can multiply the denominator and the whole number, which would be 12. And that tells us there are 12 thirds plus 2 thirds. So 12 plus 2, we have 14 thirds. So we end up with 14 thirds, okay? And then that is divided by, we're also going to do what we've done in some other ones. We're going to change the whole number into a fraction too by simply putting it over 1. And we can change any whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. So now we've changed this from a problem involving mixed numbers and whole numbers into just a problem involving fractions. And then we use our process of dividing fractions, which is multiplied by the reciprocal. And it's always the reciprocal of our divisor, which is the one we're dividing by. So our first fraction, you've probably heard it: keep it, change it, flip it, which means we keep the first fraction. It stays as 14 thirds. Change it means we change it to multiplication, and flip it because we're multiplying by the reciprocal, so we change that to 1 over 7. So multiply by the reciprocal. We rewrote it. Our division problem changed from a division problem to a multiplication problem in which we are multiplying by the reciprocal of the divisor, the number we were dividing by. Okay, now we can just multiply that straight across. So we end up with 14 over 21. And both those are multiples of 7. So if we divide it by 7, we will get, and the key is right here. It says, it does say write it in lowest terms, so it will want you to simplify that. So we need to divide both of these by 7, divide both those by 7, and we're going to end up with 2 thirds for our simplified answer on that one. And again, when you type that in, it will be 2 and then slash 3 is what you would do on that one. So make sure you do write those in the lowest term. So that is important. Again, change it to a fraction, then multiply by the reciprocal, and simplify your answer. Those are the steps we talked about. Okay, so let's take a look at our next one here. So again, 9 times 1 is 9, plus 7 is, we end up with 16, so we have 16 ninths divided by, that one's already a fraction, 4 fifths. And now we're going to change that one then into a multiplication problem. So we end up with 16 ninths times the reciprocal. So we flip that fraction of 5 fourths. Okay. Then we just multiply straight across. 5 times the 10 in this number would be 50. 5 times the 6 would be 30. So 50 plus 30 gives us 80 there. And 9 times 4 is 36. We're going to need to simplify this. I'm just looking back here, since 4 is here and 4 goes into 16. That gives me an idea that 4 will go into both of these. And if you do know how to cross cancel, you can do it there, but we're not going to worry about that now. We're going to divide both these by 4. So that ends up being a divided by 4 would give us 20. And then 36 divided by 4 would end up giving us 9. Now, you can put it in as an improper fraction in con as long as it's simplified, or you go ahead and put that in as a mixed number, so it would go in there. 9 will go into 20 2 times, and it would have, so that'd be 18 and have 2 left over. So it would be 18 and 2 ninths. So either one of these answers, and again, remember, if you put it in as a mixed number, you'd put in the 2 and then put a space and 2/9. That's the way you put in mixed numbers in con. But either one of these answers would be acceptable. Con will accept either one of those. Okay. Let's go on to our next one here. Whoops. Okay. So again, this one, our first step again is to change them to everything to fractions. So we change the whole number to a fraction by putting an 8 over 1 divided by, again, multiply by 5. 5 times 1 is 5, plus the 4 is 9, so we end up with 9 fifths. And then that equals 8 over 1 times the reciprocal now. So we're going to flip that, so that would be 5 ninths. So that's going to end up being 40 over 9. Now there's no factors in 40 and 9, don't have any common factors. So you could put it in as 40 ninths. Or you could take that down. That would go in there 4 times. This would be 36. And then that would give us 4. So be 40 and 4 ninths. Okay, so again, changing it to a fraction division problem, then multiplying by the reciprocal is the way we work through these. Okay, the last one here, this one, they are both mixed numbers, but we just do it the same way. We do it by, again, changing them both to fractions. So we got to multiply and add. So that would be 24, 25. So we end up with 25 eighths. And the denominator just stays the same always. Divided by 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So we end up with 5 thirds. Now we're going to change it into a multiplication problem. So we end up with 25 eighths times the reciprocal of 5 thirds, which would be 3 fifths. So that would end up as 75 over 40. Now, if they end with a 5 or a 0, we know 5 goes into them, so we're going to divide them both by 5. Divided by 5. That would equal, and then we're going to have 8 on the bottom. 75 divided by 5. If you don't know it, we can divide that out. 75. 5 would go in there one time. And that's going to give us 5. Minus that down. We're going to have a 2. Drop that down. 5. So it's going to go in there 15 times, isn't it? So we end up with 15 eighths. And you could put that in there, or again, you could write it as a mixed number. But it would accept either one. Although, usually if you start with mixed numbers, con will accept either one of them. But usually if you start with mixed numbers, you should probably end with a mixed number. So that would be 1 and 7 eighths. but Con will accept either one as long as they're simplified. All right, good luck with this, and let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day. Bye.